Hey everybody, this is Portia, and I finally watched the documentary, The Trayvon Hoax. It was made by a guy by the name of Joel Gilbert, and it dives into the Trayvon Martin case against murder case against George Zimmerman. So I made some notes. I got some notes about things that I want to talk about. So, of course, when you do commentary, you need to talk about the negative first. So let me just get the negative out of the way. Things that I did not like is when he was reading the text message, I didn't like the fact that he used the N-word, even though he was quoting Trayvon. And it was funny to hear him go like, yo, baby. Yeah. Like when he was doing the little commentary. I thought that was pretty funny. But I mean, the content, of course, it went with the investigating reporting, but that's something that I did not like. I did not like the fat phobia kind of thing. And I know you're like, what do you mean by fat phobia? Kind of like when he was saying, her describing her body and things like that. That she was like, that definitely won Rachel. I mean, come on now, big girl, we sexing now, Joy. We sexing now. Don't do that. But I didn't like that. But it didn't take away from the investigative journalism. Like, no, it didn't take it away from that. I'm going to get to that in a minute. These are just highlights of things I did not like. That's all. I like the fact that you was learning the Urban Dictionary. I thought that was kind of funny that you went and got the Urban Dictionary. It was like, oh, I'm gonna understand what it is that I'm reading. I thought that was cute. And I got another one. It's like all the information that you got. I thought it was interesting. I also liked how it went. I really wish. Okay, let me get to that. Okay, so. All right, first part of it, I like how you did interview George Zimmerman. I wish you had to interview some of the other people on the other side instead of using the clips from the shows, but I'm sure you probably reached out and they just didn't want to be bothered with it. I wish you had it's still like a little negative, went and showed about how George Zimmerman dad is a judge or whatever, and showed his mother just like you did Trayvon, mom and dad, and went back in his dad background. I wish you had did the same thing for George Zimmerman so people can get a clear understanding of the background that he came from. I thought that you could have did both, just like you did with Trayvon. You could have did the same thing with George Zimmerman or whatever. And you did highlight the fact about how he did mentor kids that were of people of color. I like that. I didn't know that part about him. But I also wish you had did the same. If you were going to show the positive and negative Trayvon, you did a brief on the negative of George Zimmerman after the trial. But I also would have wished you had went in his parents' background, just like you did Trayvon Martin, parents' background. And I'm sure you probably didn't do it because they didn't really come out in the case and things like that. So that's the other thing. Okay, so that's done. Dang, I'm already 3 minutes in. Okay. Okay, so talking about the investigation. So for those of you who do not know, I don't want to spoil it for you because I really want you to watch it. But the Trayvon hoax ties in a lot of things that I've said outside of the Trayvon quote hoax about how people use cases and things like that to put on their own political agenda, and that most African Americans do vote Democrat. And I stress this all the time: vote party, don't vote party, vote person. And a lot of times in Democratic led communities, you do have a lot of issues happening, and it stems from how we vote and how people that do run for office that is of the Democratic Party do not know what they're doing, and we do not hold them accountable. But as far as the case itself, now I watch Catfish, and so after I watched the document, you're gonna have to watch it like 2 times. I still want to watch. I'm gonna watch it again because I'm just still like it's just something else in it. It's so much information that it's like whoa, and then it also fills in the gap on some of the things that you may have had questions for, okay? But one of the things that I thought that was very, very interesting was Rachel Gentile, which was the young lady who testified in court, saying that she was Diamond Eugene. And then later finding out, I don't want to spoil it, but later finding out that she wasn't who she said she was, but was she? Because what I think was happening was that what's her name may have been talking to her and thinking he was talking to her, kind of like a catfish type thing. That could have been happening. That's popped up in my head while I was reading that. But if she was sending news and pictures in the middle of conversations and things like that, and they were talking all those hours and stuff like that, and I'm sure they were video chatting and stuff like that. I'm sure he knew that who he was talking to. I think it's important that that's one of the reasons why the lawsuit is coming, is because of the fact that this information is now public. And my question is, why didn't the prosecution allow this to happen? And I know a lot of people say, oh, it's a hoax and that's fake news or whatever. But then you start questioning, like, how many other cases have they screwed up by allowing people to come in and testify knowing that they don't have anything to do with that particular case? It's frustrating to see this. The show, the documentary, it touched on so many different issues, so many different emotions. You got a chance to see that, I've never been a person that just because everybody is talking about it, I'm just going to go with it. I always try to look it up, and I couldn't wrap in my mind why most people in that particular area wasn't as angry as the rest of the nation. And then you did have some people that were angry, but not like that. And I think it's important to see that it is always two sides to every story. I do think some things were missing from the story. Like, I really wish he had, when he met up with Diamond Eugene, that Brittany Diamond Eugene, that he had asked her. I really wish he had done that. Even if she had got up and walked off, I really wish that he had asked her. Like, what relationship did you have with Trayvon Martin? How did this go down? To have that particular type of conversation. I think it's important, because someone was like, he was acquitted. He was acquitted. Well, I think that's one of the reasons why I said I thought he should have brought up about his dad, about his dad connections within that particular area, being that he was a judge. That's why I said I really wish he had dug deeper on both sides to come out kind of like non-biased. I don't think he was completely biased in here. I just think it was all to where he wanted to tell his story. Playing on the emotions of African American is something that the Democratic Party has done for years. I remember, I'm in Alabama, and I remember a state senator doing a robocall and saying, I'm mad as H. I'm mad as H. They're getting ready to take this and they're getting ready to take that. And I'm like, they're going to take your welfare. And you had people that were answering the phone who were African American that wasn't on welfare. Then you have kids who answer landlines, and the first thing they hear, their state senator saying, I'm mad as hell on the phone. Like, you don't know, everybody don't use profanity in their household. Like, it was just stuff like that. You playing on the emotions of the people. And, we're working class people. We have African American with not just with degrees, but have a mind of their own that do not vote straight party, that do not go into black and white issues when it comes to voting, do not vote emotionally. They vote the way that is better for the place where they live. And a lot of times, if you look at predominantly, especially in the Black Belt of Alabama, when you have a lot of black politicians who do not represent the area that elected. And that's not a racist statement. That's just the truth. That is just the truth. And I get sick and tired of that. And I'm glad you pointed that part out of it, about playing on the emotions of the people. The other thing that I thought was interesting about that's why I say it's so much. I want to really give a good commentary without spoiling the documentary. But it is a good film that answers a lot of questions that you've had during the trial. Like, I didn't even know about the phone stuff. And I watched the trial. That never really came up for real. They did spend a lot of time with Rachel on the stand and things like that. And you had Tom Joyner and all them to offer her opportunity to go to college and things like that. But at the same time, it's like, that whole phone call, or the last phone call, was the focus of the whole particular case, and he still got acquitted from the particular case. So clearly that said that the prosecution sucked. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. I do not think that it was right. And I'm not even a supporter of certain things, but that's if the information that this guy investigated and shown in black and white is true, why did you go that far? What was the purpose of going that far? What did that prove? What were you expecting from that? And you still didn't get what it was that you wanted out of the deal. I mean, out of the situation. Do I think George Zimmerman would get $100 million? No, his family is not worth his Trayvon family is not worth $100 million. So he definitely won't get $100 million. But I think it's just a statement of saying that I was accused of something that I was acquitted for. I mean, even though he got off, but I was accused of something under the pretense of this particular young lady that turns out not to be who y'all have presented to the world that she is. And I think that's important. And I know I've been reading commentary online of people saying, you know, oh, this is a sham. This is ridiculous. This is stupid. But is it? And I'm not even I am not a conspiracy person. I'm not the person that be like Illuminati videos and all that crap that people be saying about people that get successful and all that. I'm not even into that. But it does raise a lot of questions, and it's great commentary of how far would people go to push a political agenda. I do not believe wholeheartedly that this is something that should be downplayed. I think that if this is found, that investigation needs to happen. And if it's found to be true, that that what Joel has uncovered in this documentary, that people need to be held accountable for that action. Just like with the Central Park 5. Just like with the Central Park 5. If they would do that on one end of the spectrum, why you think they won't do that on another end of the spectrum? Right? So I think that's important and a conversation that needs to happen. It's a conversation that needs to happen and need to be addressed. George Zimmerman is mixed. He's mixed. His mother's Latino and his father is white. I think he's Cuban. And I think that that's important that two people of color were in an altercation and the other person of color was acquitted of what he was accused of, which was murder, in second degree murder. And, but the only reason why he was accused of murder was based on something that could be a lie. And that's scary, guys. That is very scary that you would do that. Prosecution, knowing with the evidence that they had. This dude went online. I can't tell this part. Joel went online and ordered from public records and got it from the state of Florida. Public record of Trayvon Martin's telephone documents. Text messages, pictures and all in written form. So if he can do that and it comes from the state, that means y'all had it all along. And that makes me question, once again, just the motive behind whether or not they even tried to convict him or with the evidence that was presented, try to move forward in getting justice for Trayvon Martin family. George Zimmerman, I do think that he should have stayed his tail in that car. I do think that. I think if he hadn't been following Trayvon and whatever, none of this would have happened. But, you know, everything happens for a reason. But I think he should have stayed his tail in that car. I know he probably regret that now. But I also think that it is important that we stop jumping up and going after things without fully investigating it. And if this is found to be true, somebody needs to be in trouble. Whether it's Ben Crump, whether it's the prosecution team, whoever it is that was behind this whole situation needs to be brought to justice. It is frustrating and it's questionable. And I want you guys to watch the Trayvon hoax. Watch it and then come back to this video and let's have a real discussion about it. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.